This just in. My last video was deemed too good and entertaining, and the deck too earth-shatteringly powerful for the world to handle, and so the team at WeirdCo had to make the difficult decision to release their next podcast episode, completely changing the scope of the game again, in order to prevent the complete destruction of the fabric of reality. Most normal folk would simply throw in the towel, delete their channels, and sail off to a faraway land. But not me. No. I will rise above this, and will harness the rage from the slight against me, and use it to construct the most heinous, powerful, and hated deck in all of trading card game history. But I shall remain stymied in this quest until the cards are shipped and my order delivered. For now, we can talk about what WeirdCo have ordained us with in the recent podcast episode, and if you haven't seen it yet, well, buckle up, because in this video, I'm going to be reviewing the 17 current cards that have been changed and the 2 brand new cards that have been revealed. And at the end of this video, we'll share a moment to pay tribute to the alpha cards that have been removed from the game, but not from our hearts. I'm breaking this video down by color identity, and we'll have chapters in the video to make navigating easier for any who want to reference this video in the future to find specific cards that I mention. Let's start first with red. For red, we've got 4 cards with brand new effects that were shown off. V Street Kid has been significantly altered, moving from a 4 eddy cost to 5, and from a meager 3 power to a respectable 6. V Street Kid maintains the Go Solo keyword, which still functions the same as before, but V's secondary ability has been altered from activating upon V's defeat to now activating when V Street Kid is called, which is fantastic as now you get the benefit without the cost of losing V as a unit by having it to be defeated first. Carrie Uridine is next on the list. Carrie has hit the gym and gained 2 power, and has had his ability altered to fit more in line with Red's desire to maximize, as his effect activates when you have a gig value of 8 or higher, rather than a gig at max value, which most people would just use the smallest gig die available to achieve. Meredith Stout has also hit the gym and has 5 power now too, but she comes equipped with the blocker keyword, so Red is on the board with an official blocker unit finally. She also has a unique combat ability that increases her power by 2 when fighting a legend. Her initial ability was also slightly altered, as beforehand it activated when a rival adjusted one of your gigs, but now it activates when your rival swaps a friendly gig as well, which implies that there will be other cards in the game that allow you to swap rivals' gigs with your own, so that's interesting. El Sombreron is the last red card with changes to him at this time, and his new version seems quite fun. His effect still activates when he attacks, but instead of straight up doubling his power during combat when you target a rival unit, you instead must pay 2 eddies, and once you do, you can increase his power by the value of one of your friendly gigs that's at a maximum value, which could mean you can have him swinging with up to 24 power. It's also pretty important to note that this buffing effect does not require you to target a rival unit like before, so now he can be buffed up to steal 2 gigs or even 3 when he swings. I can also see he has amazing synergy with Carnage at the Coliseum, which requires you to have a unit with high power to target something of your rivals for destruction if it has higher power. So a high power El Sombreron is a perfect complement for this card. Let's take a look now at yellow, which have the most things to talk about. Starting with Dum Dum. Dum Dum's ability has been gutted from what it once was. Instead of defeating a friendly gear card to draw 4 cards when he's called, it's down to only drawing 2 cards, or 1 if you do not defeat a gear card. To make up for this reduction in draw power, he was given a second ability, which is a quick effect. By spending Dum Dum and 1 eddy, you can buff a friendly unit by 1 power for each piece of gear it is equipped with, which is an interesting change and fits nicely with the theme of loading up units with tons of cyberware, so you're basically giving someone a mini Royce ability. River Ward is next, and he's looking much better this iteration. His ability is also a quick effect, and is similar to before, where you can spend him to play a gear card that costs 2 or less for free. Where this is improved upon though, is before only be used on a yellow unit. Now that restriction has been removed. In addition to this, he has a second ability that has huge potential. Now, when a friendly equipped unit is defeated, you can search the top 2 cards of your deck and trash 1. This is a passive second ability, so if you have a gear heavy deck, which seems to be yellow style, you will be able to use River to thin out your deck to find cards you need faster, or put cards in your trash pile that you might be able to interact with other card effects we don't know about yet. We know that Meredith Stout interacts with the trash pile, so we can assume others will as well. The last yellow legend is Victor Vector, who has a very minor change, but I wanted to mention it here, as his effect triggers on call now versus on a flip like before. These were essentially the same thing, but were noted as being mechanically different, as some cards would care about when a card flips versus just calling a legend. He still plays exactly as he did before, it's just clarified now, which is good. Now going from good to godly, we have Hanako Arasaka, and just looking at her without the context of like 80% of the rest of the set has me drooling because her effect is crazy. Firstly, she now has 1 power, so she's able to steal gigs, which is a huge upgrade from before, and I don't know if that change was really warranted because her effect has been upgraded to crazy levels. Beforehand, you'd search the top 4 of your deck and reveal them. Then you selected the value of 1 friendly gig, and you could add any card you just revealed in this way to your hand that has a cost equal to that gig's value. Now, you can do the same thing, but with any card that matches the value of any gig, not just 1 gig, meaning you are now not bound to having to make the difficult decision about which single gig you wanted to select, and then have to get rid of the cards that did not have the same cost equivalent. This isn't all, because now you don't trash the rest of the cards that didn't go into your hand, that go to the bottom of your deck instead. She's automatically in my S+++ tier on my next unit tier list video, unless there's something even crazier than her, but man, I don't know, this just seems like pure gas to me. Next we have Caliber. Caliber's gotten 1 power weaker, which makes getting to that 10 power threshold just a bit tougher now, which is quite a strong nerf, though it may not seem like it. Caliber's ability has been altered to make up for this though, as now Caliber comes equipped with a strong voice removal effect, as Caliber can defeat a rival unit with a cost of 2 or less without having to worry about how much street cred you have. Also, the fact that it targets cost instead is incredibly powerful because you cannot alter the cost of a card like you can with power. Even though I'm not excited to see already powerful yellow cards get even more crazy, I am happy to see that at least some of their heavy hitters have gotten hit with some needed nerfs and complete reworks. Gorilla Arms now only boosts power by 3, so any 6 power units out there that were hoping to use this gear to hit that 10 power threshold are out of luck. Additionally, the gig stealing ability has been reworked to now allow the equipped unit to steal a gig with a value not shared by a friendly gig, as opposed to letting you steal another gig that has equal sides to the one you just stole. This dramatically reduces the effectiveness of Gorilla Arms, which honestly was needed, as most of the time all you would need to do is use the Pan Am combo to attach Gorilla Arms to your unit and then steal like 5 gigs at once. Cyberpsychosis is the last yellow card to talk about, and this is quite the change. First, it now has 2 yellow RAM requirement instead of 3, so it's now splashable. It's still a quick effect card like before, but instead of buffing and then defeating a unit with gear equipped to it, Cyberpsychosis has new requirements that must be met first. It increases the power of a unit by 3 for each gear card it's equipped with, and if that unit steals a gig or fights, it is defeated at the end of the turn. Before, you were able to play Cyberpsychosis and target a rival's unit on your turn, and then defeat it when your turn ends, without having to interact with it in any other way. Now the only way to defeat a rival's unit in this manner during your turn is if they choose to block you with that same unit. So the use cases for Cyberpsychosis have been reduced a bit, which is warranted given that it has a cheaper RAM requirement, so it's easier to field in decks now. Let's take a peek now in Greenland to see what changes they have to offer. First, we have Goro Takamura, Vengeful Bodyguard. To start, this iteration of this legend has lost its old ability of readying himself when he's called. He's still able to increase the power of a friendly unit with an eddy cost of 4 or less by 1, and give it the blocker keyword when he is spent, but now you have to also spend an additional eddy. This sounds like quite a downgrade, but he has a very interesting second ability. When a friendly unit uses the blocker keyword, you can choose to discard, and if you do, you may draw 1. I felt in the old meta that he was one of the most underwhelming legends, as going pure defensive with your strategy was simply underpowered, but now that he comes with drawing and card cycling that rewards your defensive playstyle, he has immense potential going forward, and I'm looking forward to see what kind of defensive strategies Goro can formulate to keep your rival at bay. Now here we have a pretty divisive change with Pan Am Palmer, formerly the most broken legend in the game. She has gotten much needed adjustments to her ability. Notice she has lost the ability to self-ready as well, which may be an indicator that that mechanic will simply be removed from the game, as it was quite strong, especially with the reduced eddy cost, which basically made her and Goro free to call. Her ability to move gear to a unit now costs 2 eddies and requires you to spend her, so you're essentially spending 3 eddies to move a gear card from her to a friendly unit that has no other equipment attached to it. It still readies that unit so you're able to use the Pan Am combo to attack with it twice, but you now have a limitation on what units you can target it with. Even though this is a perfectly reasonable ability and is still very strong compared to her peers, she was given a second ability to make up for the nerfs, which I personally feel was unnecessary as I worry about the potential of it being far too overtuned. If she's active and you end your turn with 5 or more friendly units and or legends with gear equipped to them, you can ready them. Where this concerns me is her interaction with the Goro legend we just reviewed, as now you can potentially turn many cheaper attackers into blockers, as they can be spent to hit your rival and then be readied again at the end of your turn and used to block. I'm unsure just how crazy this will be in practice, but you can already see the formations of a potential problematic, though admittedly interesting interaction in green. Sticking with our Nomad theme, we have the Riding Nomad unit, which has gotten some very interesting changes indeed. First, its cost was reduced by 1 from 6 eddies to 5, which is a huge bonus as now it can be played on turn 2. The unit has lost 2 power, going to 4 from 6 to counteract the ability to be played earlier, but the truly interesting part is this unit's ability. It initially allowed this unit to attack a spent rival unit when it was played, as if it had been equipped with Sandevistan by default. It essentially gave it a pseudo haste ability, but now we can see that it has the adrenaline keyword, which is the true form of haste, as you can see in the description on the card itself that it's able to attack the turn it is played, with no mention of the requirement of only targeting units like Oda still has. This gives us our first unit with the haste ability, and as an avid aggro deck lover, my joy when seeing this was immense and my excitement to run an adrenaline deck immediately spiked. The excitement in Greenland doesn't just end there, as we're also shown a brand new card, one of 2. Wraith Marauders is a 5-cost, 4-power unit that has a 2 green ram requirement. We finally have a cheap and splashable green unit, something they didn't really have before aside from the blocker in the alpha format, so it's nice to finally see one. This unit comes equipped with a very powerful ability. When it steals a gig, you can ready a friendly unit with power equal to that gig's value, which can make for some very insane plays. Once again, it looks like red is not going to be the only aggro deck color, as we now have 2 solid early game units with very powerful aggro abilities in green. I'm still riding high off of the adrenal excitement that green is offering, and I'm capping it off with blue, as this is the house for control, my most favorite genre of deck to play in card games. We've gotten a few altered cards to review, and our second and final new card reveal of the video. Let's take a look at the new Alt Cunningham. First, she no longer can go solo, which fundamentally changes her. Her new ability requires you to spend her, and when you do, your next played program of any color costs 1 eddy less to play for each friendly gig that you control that is at the minimum value of 1, down to a minimum of 1. So in principle, it's the same cost-reducing effect that Carnage at the Coliseum has, but instead of requiring high-value gigs, we're looking for the lowest value possible. This plays perfectly with Blue's desires to minimize gig values, and having our powerful programs become cheaper to play is a very strong ability to have, and cements her as the anchor to any program-heavy deck, so any control deck is going to have her as your rock to build upon. Her powers go further though, as her second ability is personally very exciting to me. It requires you to spend an eddy and her to use, so you have to choose which one of her 2 abilities you want to activate, as both require her to be spent. What this second and more expensive ability allows you to do is to play a program from your trash and then bottom deck it. You still must pay for the cost of this program, so this program exploitation can only go so deep, but this effect has 2 very valuable purposes. First, obviously, it is to reuse incredibly powerful programs from your trash whenever you need to, so if you have any cards that self-mill, or you're pretty liberal in your use of programs during the game, you're only increasing her power as you essentially turn your trash pile into a second hand. Finally, we have some good trash pile play. She could interact with your trash in the older form, but I hate that you had to defeat her in order to use that effect, and it was just too clunky in my eyes. This version is far superior. I did mention that her second ability had a secondary purpose, and it's that it can help prevent you from decking out. If mill becomes a thing in this game, which it likely will, as they explicitly state that running out of cards results in a game loss, making that a mechanic for a win condition, she can help to slow that strategy down as she continues to add cards to your deck. The second blue legend with a huge makeover is Evelyn Parker, our second Queen of Control, as she used to be able to dig through our deck to find Brandance cards. Sadly, that ability is gone, but what she has in that old ability's place is even better. First, she allows you to ready one spent Eddy when a Corpo or Ganger steals one or more gigs. She has now become our second tribal legend after Saburo, who cared about Arasaka units. With the exception of trying to use Arasaka cards in the alpha format, the subtypes of a unit didn't matter at all really. But now they do, and it's nice to see. It's also a powerful ability, as this ability is not limited to triggering once per turn, so if you have several Corpo or Ganger units on the field that steal a gig, it allows you to continue to ready your resources to be spent again. Her second ability requires you to spend her and an Eddy, and it forces a rival unit to attack next turn if able. This is our first instance of having the goad mechanic from Magic in the game, and it fits nicely within the realm of control cards. I can't speak much on the power of this ability yet, but I am intrigued to see this mechanic in the game, and my mind is racing, wondering what sorts of fun combos this will allow for me and my fellow blue boys out there to take advantage of. The final legend to cover in today's video is Jackie. They adjusted his ability to have it make sense within the context of Blue's goal of minimizing. Before, he allowed you to draw a card if you had a gig at max value, which was a complete contradiction to Blue's goals. So now, instead of increasing a friendly gig when you play a blue unit or gear card by 2, you can decrease a gig by up to 2 instead, and if it's at the minimum value of 1, you can draw a card. He has very good synergy with the new Alt Cunningham, as he can alter your gig dice to make them minimum values, which in turn allows Alt Cunningham to make your next program card cost that much cheaper to play. I really like the potential that Blue has going for it, and I'm very excited to see the new stuff Blue has in store for us. Speaking of new stuff for Blue, we have our final card of the video, the other new card revealed to us for the first time, the modded Kusanagi, and it's a 6 cost unit with a strong 8 power and only a 2 blue RAM requirement. It also has the Adrenaline keyword that the Riding Nomad card has, so it's able to hit the board and your rival in the same turn. This card's high power comes at a cost though. At the end of your turn, this unit must be returned to its owner's hand, so you can play this unit, attack, and then it goes back to your hand after you pass the turn. Now this does have interesting implications, as it in effect gives it a form of blink and can actually be beneficial. You can play this card and hit your opponent to steal a gig or take out a problem unit from their board. You then remove this card and put it back into your hand, making it untargetable for your opponent. It does pose problems as you want to always be improving and increasing your board state, and this does not do that, but it is a cool concept and flavorful for a quick moving vehicle that darts in and out of combat like that. We'll see how good this card truly is soon enough, but mechanically it is interesting and introduces new mechanic into the game that I think has potential. Alright guys, that is every card that has been added and altered from the most recent podcast episode. I'll brace myself for more cards next week, and we'll do a similar video then when we get the next wave of spoilers. Thank you so much for watching and for your continued support, but before I go, let's please take a moment to remember those that we've lost this week.
Once in a while I dream. Once in a while I think of you. I reminisce on days gone by when you and I were new. Once in a while I dream, hoping that you'd return to me, but I know that you're not coming back, so once in a while I dream. Each moment passes like hours, each day is dark as the night.
You will be missed. Thank you again everyone, and I will see you next week.